Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting and everything and amazing Propagandacast with me, your host from Paul.A.D, the one, the only master propaganda hero, psych defender of the fatherland, of here to a 1v1 on Crossroads Winter. In the north, it is Paul.A.D fighting for the German army, Deutschland, the Oberkommando West. Here with the 5th SS Panzer Division Totenkopf. Totenkopf is actually Viking. Totenkopf is the third. In the south it is Angreifen, fighting for the Red Army, the Soviet Union, Comrade Stalin. And the 7th Guards Mechanized Corps here with guard mode to defensive tactics and airborne troops. We got Volkskriegs Kuhwagen there for Paul.A.D, conscripts with a special rifle command there for Angreifen. And as always, a big hearty thanks to my patrons, supporters. Without them and their stalwart support, the Propagandacast would simply not be possible. So big thanks to all those. Other being John, thanks by Patreon. Patreon can donate by PayPal. Links in the description. You can also pre-order Communist Feed to help me out by using the link in the comments. And using the code CoH2 That way I get a share of the sale. So yeah. So there you go. Kuban Storm pushing at conscripts in the south. Scout car there for Angreifen. And finally, you can also just comment, like, share, subscribe, help spread the video out that way as well there. So, Kuban then being repaired as it goes in pretty hard here in the car point, looking to disrupt Angreifen's early game. Though, of course, Angreifen intends to hit back pretty hard with a scout car, the M3A1. Floated there by the eastern point. Could have laid down sandbags, but I guess he's too preoccupied with other matters, or just doesn't care about the good old-fashioned sandbags. That way, he can't find any sand. Where are you supposed to find sand? We're like, I don't know, in the middle of Ukraine. There's no sand here, only snow. Like, lots of snow, and I don't think that works as well. Try on the way there for Paul.A.D after the full screen lead, so likely an Elite Armour push here with the 2-1 being rushed out. That also is going to be helpful there versus the M3A1 here. Scout car, part of the American Lend-Lease program, was primarily used by the Soviet key formations or scout formations. Kuban being pursued there by the scout car. We got this jump ring to assist here. Truck out, so you can soon go for that scout car there, the 2-1, to counter the enemy scout car. Jump push back with the Sturmgewehr, and the east side here, car point seized for the surge, so Volkskriegs can counterattack there with their Kar 90K bolt action rifles. On the west side here, more troops bring up. Then we got motive for Angreifen. That classic, that old reliable of the Soviets with T-35s, heavy mortars, guards, rifle infantry, vehicle repair training, and marked vehicle. East side here, we got the Volkskriegs forwards there, ready to now actually stand back the car point, and there we go. Big surprise. We got Elite Armour here for Paul.A.D with the 2-1 scout car, emergency repairs, Panzer Commander, heat shells, and the Sturmtiger. Sandbags en masse here in the west from Angreifen, preparing for any future German assaults here. He does not wish to be caught off guard there again. So Kuban being fixed up, 2-1 almost done. And back here, scout car being fixed up there by Angreifen's engineers. There we go, 2-1 out. One of the first scout cars in the Wehrmacht service. It's served for some time, but the problem was ultimately, though, just having 4 wheels as an armoured car just isn't great. And ultimately would be replaced either by half-track armoured cars or armoured cars with a lot more wheels on them. South, we've got the conscripts there. Sending big seas to the Volkskriegs to the west side. Here, scout car putting pressure back up the Kuban and the Sturmpioniere. Interesting enough, he's just engaging head on. Like, one thing could do is like move scout car on the flanks of the sandbag positions. Either way, though, Angreifen is retreating here, realizing either way, though, against this much motorized firepower, his conscripts are just no match. South here, Fult's about to clash with the conscripts here. No further tech. He will have to see how he deals with it, because he's still got some time to go from calling Guardsmen, which would be one option to deal with this in particular with the scout car. He could go for the penal troopers here again, equip them with anti-tank rifles. He could try and go for the support company, so a bit of a tricky position, because I was Paul.A.D can really control the field here against Angreifen with the scout car and Kuban combo. I mean, the 2-1 is pretty good thanks to the machine gun there on top. He said he floats with the conscripts there. So, pretty nasty position that Paul.A.D's managed to put Angreifen into. Gives us the scout car in the center. Again, lacking any snares or anything. They are easy prey here for the German armored car. Fun fact about the 2-1 is also just based off a more regular car design, not civilian car in a sense, but just more like a regular car the German army was using. Basically just slapped some armor plates on it. In fact, a lot of the German, shall I say, early armored vehicles were just pretty much just, you know, more utilitarian designs with armor plating slapped on. 2-1. The 250 and the 250 half tracks as well were also just basically just tractors. They just slapped armor plating on, turned them into armored half tracks. So, fun fact there. Guessing a battle headed for Paul.A.D. There could be mechanized right on the west side here, pushing forwards again for the Red Army. They got the spawn company here, so we do get a side take there from Angreifen. The 2-1 again is simply just too much of a threat to him right now that he just cannot afford to wait out for the guardsmen or any other solutions. He is, I think, going to try and push out his field gun here to put a stop to this, you know, motorized armored menace. Really, I think, highlighting just the power of the 2-1 in the right hands. And why, again, some players do favour this 2-1 rush strategy as the Oberkommand West. It also just gives them the option just, you know, do something besides spamming Volksgun deals, I suppose. Scout Car pushing eastwards here. Rapidly moving on to the point there and seizing it for the glory of the Red Army and the Soviet peoples. Kuba there fixed up. Truck there. Setting up for the Belgian headquarters. No surprise there from Paul.A.D. Samex in the west. Pushing the centre that's getting caught by a lot of Germans with a large amount of guns. Quickly riding near, they were definitely not equipped for taking that on, particularly not when they're also wielding a minesweeper. There we go, counterattacking as well there. He could have tried fighting out here, but I think Angreifen very wisely realised that's just going to be a waste of manpower, and he's just going to get like swarmed by Paul.A.D, so he just retreats back, gets you up in a better position to counterattack from. So I think could have gotten away with it considering now Paul.A.D is pushing eastward, so of course he could have made the attempt, but I don't blame him for not wanting to make it. Guardsman out here, so guess it ends up going for them in ways to set the field gun, but I'd still expect him to go for a field gun, obviously. So this is still obviously, I think, a fairly smart move there by Angreifen. Got the Guardsman, adding the DP light machine guns. Gonna pop them into the scout car, that way he can with the anti-tank rifles pretty aggressively pursue the 2-1 and knock it out, similar to the Kubelwagen. Although I will add, I am not entirely sure how reliably you can fire, like, you know, a massive anti-tank rifle from the back of a scout car like that. I mean, in theory, I suppose you could mount it on the railings, but even then, I'm fairly certain that's going to be quite the task to pull off. Maxim here for Angreifen to contain Paul.A.D. I mean, in this case, Paul.A.D is switching over some pretty aggressive blob tactics, so obviously, in this regard, going for a Maxim is a very good counter-battle academy for the Paul.A.D, obviously wishing to put an end to the scout car, rushing forwards with it. Willing to risk the Panzer IV, but in this case, the Das Panati von Angreifen, Paul.A.D is too preoccupied here. Fails on this window opportunity to take in a Panzer IV out to the scout car there, and does force retreated with the scout car as well, because obviously, he's not going to, like, be handily handing over that scout car to the Soviets. So, with this, Angreifen gains a measure of momentum back on the battlefield here against Paul.A.D, as this scout with guardsmen, heavily equipped, is definitely going to be a bit of a threat there. We'll have to see what happens next here for Angreifen, but I imagine the tank in command here, going for the card point. Again, he knows he needs to like disrupt Paul.A.D's fuel income, in particular on a map like Crossroads Winter, which has more points than the average map, meaning map control here can much more quickly spiral out into a lot of tanks fast. So, very smart move there, I think, by Angreifen, just racing straight for the car point there, just to deny Paul.A.D that bit more fuel. Thumbs up there. Got the Maxim hold forward here. They would make several attempts to replace the Maxim one before the war, but that machine gun turned out to be less great. Then roughly halfway through the war, roughly around 1943, they did come up with another solution where basically a guy took a light machine already designing and made it into, like, you know, medium machine gun basically. So, little fun fact there. They did sort of have another machine, though it was still mounted on wheels. And he's charging forward into the Maxim. He's stopping their Paul.A.D's infantry assault quite splendidly, except for the squad that's running straight out of the Maxim with the incendiary grenade there, suddenly lighting everything on fire, including the shrubbery the Maxim is hiding in. Forcing retreat here for Angreifen ultimately, but you know, he still managed to like suppress 3 squads and deal a significant amount of damage here to Paul.A.D. It's obviously not all bad there for Angreifen, but certainly a bit awkward, and there's like just one guy running up and chucking a grenade at it. West side here follows a bit with us and cut off point there again. And we got a second guard squad for Angreifen. That's actually kind of rare. Like, most players will only bother with one guard squad, but like technically going for multiple isn't like a bad idea either. Like the light machine guns obviously quite good, and if you get like multiple guardsmen with anti-tank rifles again, they can also like threaten medium armor fairly well due to their high rate of fire and the fact they actually get deflection damage off of them, meaning even if they don't penetrate, they do a amount of damage. So get a bunch of anti-tank rifles together, and you can like threaten a Panzer IV with that, honestly. Molotov here on the Fulton Grenadiers there, lighting them on fire there. Pushing each over the scout car, filled with gas, and there go Kubagen is ending up in a pretty bad spot. Truck moving forward here. Guessing that was a rally point going wrong there. Almost lost it to the Soviet gas from the scout car. Bet you two on that one, by the way. Nice preservation of the scout car, by the way. Some players might by now have been tempted just to throw it away there, but Angreifen knows better. Thumbs up there to Angreifen. Patient player, and we got a lot of like, exchanges of incendiary, grenades there. Almost like, trying to keep each other warm, except, they're trying to kill each other. Right, thank you, comrade. Here, let me return some favor. You dumb Russian swine. Scout car pushing websites, upgrade to the 223. That was also the 222. And then there was an unofficial upgrade, which was apparently still fairly common, with a 2.8 centimeter either light anti-tank gun or heavy anti-tank rifle, depending on who you ask. But they basically mounted there, though we wouldn't be able to like swivel around. This is more like a seriously very, very light assault gun based off an armored car chassis with that one on. But little fun fact there. Maximus the Fulton, the quick suppress and guardsmen there, closing in about 2-2, but again that is 2 squads of guardsmen here from Angreifen. Definitely also threat, yes, all the Fultoners and whatnot, but they wants to get going with those light machine guns, as they can really lay down some pretty heavy fire there. Sturm Pioneer 223 moving up the centre here, looking to prove through there, might even threaten the carve point, but for now his fuel supply is being very handily threatened here by Angreifen, who has yet to take up, so at this point it's quite clear just intending, I think, to go straight for the medium armour next, which it's honestly not a bad idea. There you go, another big push here. Scout coming in there, Fulton moving with the Sturmgewehrs as well there. Could try and chuck in a Cine Grenade or Molotov here too at the Fulton. There we go. We also get Brandhand out of them, so just everything is lit on fire and the Germans rush through their own fire. That is typically not what you want to be doing though. MG34's been whole force there, but Paul.A.D as well there, and the 5th SS Panzer IV Viking. Division composed originally of Scandinavian volunteers and Finns. They could argue they're Scandinavian as well. I know can be a bit tricky there, but I'll wait. Not really, I guess, when I think about it. But either way, though, Scandinavian volunteers, the Finns that would later be withdrawn from the unit. But overall, the Germans generally had some issues with getting the Scandinavians to actually stick around for various reasons, usually because they weren't actually very nice towards them. Plus, in some cases, some incidents that definitely also caused further issues that further thinks Chelsea dried up the sources. For example, in the case of Danish volunteers, that was the Demyansk Pocket, where they just basically chucked in a bunch of like really raw Danish recruits, which unsurprisingly gave a really big backlash back in Denmark and soured a lot of people on it. Goes to the scout car here, pushing it back. So, little fun side note there on that part. And later on they'd move the remaining ones so to the 11th SS Panzerdivision Nordland. As a fun side note there. But there'll still be some remaining in the 5th SS even after that. West side here, continue to push up Angreifen, swiveling through here the western points here. Eastern points here, but they're obviously back by the MG34, but Paul.A.D is definitely strong with his fuel supply here versus Angreifen, who's now moving straight to the mechanized armor company. That said, Paul.A.D does his share Panther calls up authorized. He could soon push for a Panther IV. And Angreifen, well, he's not getting too far from a T-34-6 or even a T-45, so this could go a lot of ways. Maximus the Sturmpioneer. Scout car there, pushing west against the conscripts. Sturmpioneers the gas on Maxim. And you holding up here. Straight for the center of the Fulton Grenadiers. You start their Guardsmen as the MG34. Sandbags, they're wrecking the sandbag. Oh, wrecked by the Kednerfer, not sandbags wrecking sandbags. That would be a new, well, sandbag Wunderwaffen, wouldn't it? If they'd actually managed to weaponize sandbags. Fortunately for the free world, the Germans have not managed to weaponize sandbags. There we go, going for the Panzer IV against the scout car. Double once there. Managed to get the Guardsman out of there in time. But the scout car was not as fortunate. It got rented into a hot, burning pile of scrap metal. Quick for the Western car point here. Angreifen doing a fairly decent job slowing down Paul.A.D as much as he can, but ultimately, though, with that many Fulton-Grenadiers with Sturmgewehrs, it's going to be a bit tough there for Angreifen to put up like an effective defense without more heavy weaponry backing them up. We do get a T-34 being rushed out. Paul.A.D, meanwhile, is moments away there from the Panzer IV Model J being able to call in here. Guardsmen trying to get the 2-2 eventually free, and we got casualty inflicted here, wipe in the west here. Definitely starting to look a bit rough here for Angreifen versus Paul.A.D. Second guard squad coming in here, blocking a pursuit from the 2-2-3. Paul quickly popping smoke and disengaging. But definitely some close calls there. Western points being seized. Suddenly, Paul.A.D is once more looking to have, I think, the full advantage, and he's going to be getting out the Panzer IV Model J soon enough, at which point he will definitely have the armor advantage. Though again, a T-34 6 backed up by 2 guard squads could also be a problem for the Panzer IV. And you've had force looking at the east. Back here, tripping, forcing healing. Guards are suppressed. T-34 moving forward here for Angreifen. Sending big system engineers. Mines down here. And the Panzer IV is almost ready here for Paul.A.D and the German army. The Panzerkampfwagen Fiat last model of Panzer IV before the war ended. Salvaging fuel here, thumbs up to Paul.A.D. Sandbags wrecked by the T-34, and there you go, Panzer IV is ready here. You also got the 2-3 finally sitting up here on a point just to secure him more fuel and munitions. Not a bad idea. He's straight up for the center right into the Maxim. But do have the Beinhand Grenade, though of course the Panzer IV should be able to similarly turn things around here for Paul.A.D. And there you go, Kenner fires off a big fat rocket. The T-34 mines going off here, blowing apart several of Paul.A.D's men. The Panzer IV rushes forward here. Guardsman T-34 ready to meet that head on. It seems there you go, grenade on the Guardsman, forcing them back here. Nicely timed throw here. The Panzer IV died, so got the Guardsman on the flank here. Beinhand gun on the Maxim here. A lot of fire here. And there you go, buttoning up the Panzer IV. Angreifen switches back to the offensive with the looks of it. No. As you can see, again, the Guardsmen like doing a fair amount of damage to the Panzer IV just with anti-tank rifles, because again, even if the shot doesn't penetrate, they still get to do damage. I still don't know why they did that, by the way. Definitely feel that was a bit of a questionable decision there. But either way, though, they do. So again, if you get like a bunch of Guardsmen together, again, you can like somewhat threaten like a medium tank in a like relatively short amount of time to, you know, put together a marked vehicle, at which point, you know, they do even more damage. That's no amount of shots that actually do penetrate. MG-34 here, there's a small gap here. Oh, Guardsmen get away with the position line. The MG-34 turn around to suppress, but that's it. There's 2 guard squads, but if one starts to get suppressed, they want to get suppressed soon. He could pop into the up here around here for some extra damage. I think that'd be a good idea here, though he probably won't. There you go, though. T-34 arrives to save the day here. Going straight for the MG-34 crew, sending it packing here. Firing all guns into the rears of those German machine gunners. Lighting gun for Paul.A.D here for some artillery support. Actually a pretty smart idea. Then, in fact, I'm surprised we haven't seen a heavy mortar from Angreifen. MG-34 wiped out. Fulton's rushing force for Kevin Ringen, plus the Panzer IV not fully repaired here. Very fun here and there. Go Guardsmen just unleashing a torrent of fire there at the Germans. Both into fine positions here. Panzer IV going forward here. Could actually try and run over the Guardsmen here. That's obviously going to be tough, but you can see that again. They actually like shearing off a fair chunk of health here on the Panzer IV. There we go. Tried to crush them. There you go. Filming on to run, but still. The Guardsmen like did most of the heavy lifting and taking out that Panzer IV there, simply because, again, those anti-tank rifles, as long as they're wielded by Guardsmen, have deflection damage. Which again means, even if the shot doesn't penetrate, they get to do damage. Get enough of them together, you can notice you can actually, like, you know, relatively swiftly melt the Panzer IV. Of course, you really do want other stuff to back it up, but they certainly help a good part there. So, quite on the below to Paul.A.D. Obviously, not the smartest move to rush at it like that, but here we are. Obviously, I imagine he got just too tempted by the idea of just, crushing 2 guard squads like that. And certainly, I would have been tempted myself as well, I won't deny it. Got the DP lumps in the Sturmpunie, I definitely need to salvage that. Mine's being let down at least, thumbs up. He is closing in on the second Panzer IV, but meanwhile, Angreifen is just churning out more T-34s and 6s. Why not 85s? Probably because he just took out Panzer IV, isn't expecting another one right away. And because he can just get out more T-34s and 6s faster and get up more firepower now. So, I think in this regard, this is basically a move made to just exploit the current situation much faster and efficiently. Thumbs up to that. I think that is actually pretty smart and savvy. In particular with the T-34s and 6s, as they are excellent shot tanks due to the sheer amount of DPS they have for their cost. Easter Guardsmen help running straight into the mine there. Also worth noting, if you notice here, Angreifen's actually merging contact with those Guardsmen to help them keep their cost low down as well. Thumbs up to that. Center there, T-34 going straight for the Schwerpanzer quarters. Angreifen charging fearlessly here at Paul.A.D. We even got the feeling supporting. But we got the Landgun trying to silence that. But yeah, really aggressive play with Angreifen. And we got a Jagdpanzer with Paul.A.D. now. That's definitely not something we see a lot of the time in the Obold Commandos meta game. I don't think it's because it's a bad unit. It's just, just people prefer the Panther because it's more flexible, or they prefer the Panther. But I do think the Jagdpanzer is, a fairly effective unit as well. Good range, good rate of fire, good penetration, and a reasonably cost-effective package as well. I mean, it's not Stuke 3G cost-effective, but it's cost-effective. Line bombarding here. Barnhag going there, pushing the max out in the open. Also worth noting, technically the name of this version was just Panzer IV-70B. Jagdpanzer was only the name of the first model. I imagine it just called the Panzer IV-70 to make the Allies think they'd actually managed to stuff the Panther's gun on a Panzer IV. So there you go, got it out here. Back here, reinforcing healing. Field being pulled back as well. Going straight for the curve point there. Jagdpanzer rolling ahead. No, they'll know where the detailer is. They actually technically had an MG42 mounted here. You can see where this little bulb is on the front end there. That's basically where there's meant like poke and MG42 out there. In the far, you can actually see references of that, but for whatever reasons, Relic just decided it didn't need, a whole machine gun. But technically it should have. Technically it should have. Heading westwards there. Close the guardsman. Got the name of the forts, and again at this point they're pretty much just old conscript, by the way. I think that's it's actually very rare to see a squad like that, but anyways. T-15 heavy damage for the KNF and the Jagdpanzer, they almost got it. There we go. Pop goes the Weasel. Nice combo here. Angreifen clearly not ready for the Jagdpanzer because, again, most players never bother with them. But that's it again. Jagdpanzer is pretty effective, in particular paired, say, with heat shells. It becomes quite good. Lines gun, they almost done for Paul.A.D. Bring in more artillery to match Angreifen. Angreifen, meanwhile, not particularly keen on artillery, it seems. We'll have to see, though, if the Jagdpanzer, spares some developments here for Angreifen's force composition. Because where's the Jagdpanzer? There's certainly an argument he may not be super keen on more T-34s and 6s, though arguably he could just swarm it with sheer numbers. I mean, that's obviously a strategy. Western of the Guards was the Falconiers. MG5 wasn't brought here with the field gun. Fulton being pushed by the Guardsman. Eastern is the Fulton of the Conscripts, bit of skirmishing here out in the open. And we do get a Morton at Angreifen in the Red Army. Gonna blast Paul.A.D's face there into the dirt with that, or at least attempt to. Mines being laid down. We'll have to see if Paul.A.D goes for next. Will it be like another Jagdpanzer, Sturmtiger, Panther? Like, there's several opportunities for Paul.A.D right now to pursue here versus Angreifen. But the trick is, which one is he? Otherwise, I mean, Angreifen's also think just getting good map control versus Paul.A.D. Like, he's got control of both fuel points right now. In this regard, Paul.A.D is definitely, I think, getting more slow and statty here versus Angreifen, which technically does benefit Angreifen more. There you go, the great shot from the Jagdpanzer, but there you go, flanked by the field gun. Pushing that one back. Of course, we need to fix up that Jagdpanzer, yeah. Tilify then the schwer panzered quarters. More to the right as well. East side there, we got a big push here by Paul.A.D. He's throwing off ultimate force with the Sturmgewehrs. Straight at the car point here as he's looking to like launch a deeper flank assault here against Angreifen. Since it does look like, but there you go, Angreifen again with the mines. Definitely puts a dent into this flank assault, giving Angreifen more time to retreat, but also bringing armor to withstand the assault here. And our second Haymortar. Wow, that is actually surprisingly uncommon. At least from my perspective, to see double-sword Haymortar again. It's really good. We're right in the centre of the English, obviously standing no chance against the MG34 and a lot of German troops. But the double Haymortar is going to make it much more difficult for all these, like, play a defensive strategy against Angreifen. That's going to force him to be a lot more aggressive here, because otherwise the Haymortars just, you know, pretty much melt him. Before catching the guard squads here. Could pop Incendiary Piercing Hands, but again, Paul.A.D just doesn't seem to be a big fan of the ability at this point. I would argue it is pretty good. Haymortar caught here on the west side. Second Haymortar that's also been caught here. MG for the performance right up by the Haymortar. Looks like Paul.A.D is planning either a Panther or maybe even a Sturmtiger here. I'll have to see. Whatever the case, not going for a Panzer IV or another Jagdpanzer. As for Angreifen, he's not really going for more armor either, though I'm guessing he's not going to go for Katyusha when he's bringing in two solid heavy mortars. That's only a bit strange, but then went for the heavy Katyusha anyways. Closing that, Panther or Sturmtiger. He does end up going for a Panzer IV here. Bit surprised, but at the same time, not really. But you know, you could just hat that Panzer IV up sooner. That's like at first my major complaint there. Contribution against the Falcon is there. Something just gets him flying there. Guards the same at the centre. We got the Infantry 161. Haymortar on the Jagdpanzer quarters again. Panzer more almost down there. Go forward to catching the guards in the centre here. East side there. Two's pushed back there as Paul.A.D puts up some fairly stiff resistance. There we go. Line for gun silenced here by Angreifen's Haymortars. Might soon be further casualty inflicted here on Paul.A.D. It's actually like just hammering the Jagdpanzer quarters, trying to silence that with it. I mean, that works too. But we do have the Panther already moving up the east side. T-34 from 6 there. No additional armor yet here for Angreifen, but I imagine you'd rather the Panzer IV might be on something here for Angreifen than towards him. But the Guards engineers are pretty much pulling successful breakthrough backed up, supported by the artillery. There you go. The line gun cleared out. No, it takes the Kedma got cleared out, not the line gun. And there you go, destroyed. Guards getting provided here by Paul.A.D's artillery to the east side. T-34 moving forward. We've got a marked target in the Panzer IV, forcing Paul.A.D to be, at least for the time, being more careful. Got those Haymortars just blasting away there. Definitely a bit of a toss body interview for Paul.A.D. Again, part of it is just, you know, trying to play defensive against the Soviets. Particularly when they bring out Haymortars, you need to, like, you know, go on the offense, which means you need to look at, you know, different angles of attack, because attacking headwards into this is obviously going to be a very painful and not particularly cost-effective measure. Meanwhile, Angreifen bringing the H-35 tank destroyer to help deal with the German army, and I imagine also serve as a counterbalance here to the Jagdpanzer IV there under Paul.A.D's command. Note that the Jagdpanzers typically only serve in a Panzer division's, divisional tank hunter units. They did not serve, I believe, in the independent tank hunter units though, but they mostly equipped with Hetzers and Stugs and Marders, but not Jagdpanzers. That's an interesting side note there. Helping hammed here with the T-Fed Force from 6. Taking a lot of damage here. T-Fed Force they're closing in on Veteran 3. Very good. Jagdpanzer shooting misses, transforming up here. Full squad routed. We do get some Silk Coordinating, have things to try and mess here with Angreifen's position and send. There we go. Hey, mortal what? Great kill there. And we got more pressure. Guards on flank up behind the Panzer IV. They're going full ham at the rear armor of the Panzer IV. They with anti-tank rifles as much as they can hit. Except they're bunching their firing at the wrong targets, allowing the Panzer to take a lot less damage. Going to see now again, as soon as the two guard squad turn their targets on, there you go, buttoning up this roll there. Also, great shot there from the HU-5, and with that, there's almost a guarantee that the Panzer goes down as it gets lucky. Jagdpanzer now getting hit as well. And also being forced to withdraw here pretty rapidly due to the guard from the HU-5. Jagdpanzer kaput. Excellent kill here by Angreifen. Really leaves Paul.A.D in a very bad spot. The T-Fed Force on 6, of course, is only adding here to the problem. HU-5 running straight forwards. No concerns from the Jagdpanzer quarters. In fact, may turn its guns directly on it. Paul.A.D is now desperately looking for more OKW to try and stop this socialist assault here as his front line crumbles like a wet cake in an earthquake zone. Wreckage being wrecked here by Angreifen, making sure there's nothing for the Germans to salvage. Jagdpanzer quarters now, just nothing but rubble. So right now, Paul.A.D has suddenly been sent into a very, very unfavorable and unflattering position against Angreifen, who stands dominant and ascendant on the battlefield. Guards from the reinforcing, or at least awaiting reinforcements, might just be awaiting more conscripts to make up for the losses. Do not worry, comrades, this will only be a temporary measure. Never in the future shall Russians have to use poorly trained conscripts to make up for losses in more elite troops. T-35 on the way for Angreifen. So bring in some more heavy armor here versus Paul.A.D. Flank with the HU-5, great shot there through the Panzer IV side armor, doing some nice bit of damage with this 85mm gun. T-Fed Force from 6, of course, firing up at the nicely blobbed up Fultoners, meaning very nice targets. You saw it there being seized back here with Paul.A.D, but he is definitely being overstretched at this point. And while I wouldn't say it's impossible to make a comeback, it's going to require some really powerful attack from an angle Angreifen is ready for. Which, while not impossible, I think is definitely going to be tough to pull off. Clearly not once the T-3485 arrives. There we go. T-3485 has arrived here for Paul.A.D. Go to the Maxim. Straight at the India with the T-Fed Force from 6 in the ace level. Still find the line on Maxim. Running forwards here. Rushing forwards here with the T-34s. A armoured fist here of the Soviet Union, ready to deliver a lot of pain here to Paul.A.D. His base, with only a single Panzerschreck and some flak guns, is definitely not ready for that one. Ace level T-34 from 6. West side here, guards then being met with a lot of German firepower and are being steadily ripped apart there. Meanwhile, on the east side, he continues his base assault against Paul.A.D. The troops at the base, they're definitely in the danger zone here from the T-34s. Losses there being inflicted. Gonna see some Panzer IVs, but it may not matter. We even got the hay mortars firing into the base here of Paul.A.D. Now go full on be wiped out here as the T-34s continue to unload shot after shot there, tearing apart their Paul.A.D's infantry within his own base. So at this stage, I would say Paul.A.D's chances of staging a comeback look bleaker than ever, as Angreifen and the Red Army continue to launch another assault here against the Germans. Damage in the Panzer IV there. HF-140 engaging the Panzer IV. They're great shot, main gun knocked out. Kaput. So at this point, I think Paul.A.D is lost here against Angreifen. He did get a guard squad, but the problem is Angreifen still has like 2 T-34s, including the 76 at ace level. And that makes things very, very difficult there for Paul.A.D's infantry. And very, very great for Angreifen's tanks. I think at this point he has left. We're just waiting for the game to register that Paul has left the game. There we go, GG, game over. A victory for Angreifen. A fierce fight with some nice back and forth action. But in the end, a few missteps here for Paul.A.D, including, I think, just getting too defensive as Angreifen was just, I think, one of the critical errors. Is just against the Soviets, you never want to be like on the defense against them in the late game. It's typically a recipe a lot of the time for losing the game. You need to be on the offense. You need to like keep hitting them. You need to like destabilize them, or they can just smother you with all their stuff. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed this match. You'll learn something from it. If you did, subscribe, like, share, comment on it. Tell friends, tell family, but don't tell enemies. This is Imperial LinkedIn. Cheers. Thank you for watching. Hope you'll tomorrow again for a nice episode. Bye.